Hi, McKenna. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I want to thank you for coming in. I know that you have a very stressful schedule, but I appreciate you being here. I just, since this is our first initial session, I just want to, keep things kind of simple, give us an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit, and focus on kind of what brought you in here today. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
So can you kind of tell me a little bit about some of your main concerns or maybe some of the stressors that you have going on right now that has you seeking services?
I had a child had a child, um, probably about 9 months ago, and
Congratulations.
family court is recommending that I have an evaluation, drug and alcohol evaluation done due to him being placed in foster care.
So this is attending therapy part of the court order, or is that just the drug and alcohol evaluation?
They want me to have the evaluation done and then based off of the recommendations go from there.
So how are you feeling about that?
I mean, I know it's a problem, but I don't like to use around my children, so I never really used around him.
Well, I definitely, commend you for, um, you know, putting the child's priorities, um, above the use and everything else. Can you kind of explain a little bit of your background with the use, or if only you're comfortable, though?
Um, hmm, the biggest thing about it all is probably without using, I suffer from like anxiety and depression, and now because of because I'm unable to use anything, it feels like everything's being hit and the emotions are overwhelming.
Sure, that sounds like a very stressful situation and a lot of different emotions for you. Not only, concerning with having the baby in foster care, but also, like you said, having those mixed feelings of not wanting to use, but also not wanting to experience some of that depression and anxiety.
Yeah, it's leading to a lot of issues with sleeping as well.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. So, as far as like the baby being in foster care right now, what would you say are some of your other struggles and stressors right now, as far as just day to day kind of functioning life?
Even though he is in foster care, my older children are still within the home. I have a son who's 7 and my daughter who's 12. So just getting them where they need to be and making sure they have the things that they need to have is, while trying to maintain my sobriety, is still a struggle.
Or do you have any other support systems or anybody that's kind of helping out or living in the home right now?
I have a significant other, but we're not technically supposed to be near one another at this time until court is situated.
Is that a like a legitimate court order thing, like a restraining order?
Yeah, there was a domestic issue, and um, charges were filed, so there was an order of protection based off of domestic violence.
Sorry that you had to experience that.
It was more of a trusting thing. I played my part in it. It wasn't just like physical on his side.
Give you a lot of credit for, taking accountability, but also realizing that, you know, it's not exactly how you want to live your life necessarily.
It's one of those things that he used as much as I used, and he is sober now as well. And it was one of those things like I withdrew the charges, but the the state troopers in county did not. So if I had my way, the order of protection wouldn't be dropped because it makes things harder for family court.
So, as far as the sobriety, have you been sober recently or maintained sobriety recently?
Yes, going on roughly like 25 days ish.
Wow, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel like your life is kind of transitioned, and how are you handling some of those changes as far as not using?
It's a struggle. Um, it's just trying to find that balance of the anxiety factor. It helps because I mean we still do like visits and such with our other son with our son, but and the other children are allowed to go. It's just one of those things that he is where he needs to be for now, but with the intention that he comes home eventually.
Sorry. Um, well, I'm happy to hear that you still are able to visit. And what was the son's name? Or your son's name?
Well, I'm sorry. The one that I
Europe?
have, the 7-year-old or
The newborn.
Luca.
Sorry. Sorry. What was the name? I'm so sorry.
Luca.
Luca. Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that you're still able to have visitation with Luca. As far as his foster family, is it someone that's close to you, someone that you know well?
It's not family whatsoever. It was somebody the county placed him with.
Okay.
I don't really have family around here, so the only way to keep him local was placing with him with somebody that wasn't.
Can you share a little bit about, I know you said you don't really have any family around here. Would you say that you have any relationship with your family at all?
Well, there's a lot of trust issues when it comes to my family, and a lot of like family violence and things. So once I was old enough, I was really to where I was able to, I separated myself. Um, my significant other, well, the baby's dad and I have been together for many years, and it's really just been him and I and some friends.
Appreciate you sharing that. I know before you kind of mentioned some of the anxiety as being, a huge concern, especially now that you're trying to maintain your sobriety. But have you ever been to therapy before? Have you ever had any services prior to this?
Uh, family court when we were younger mandated that my siblings and I go, but it didn't really last long due to consistency with our parents. They both had struggled from substance abuse themselves.
Now, were you still at that time, were you experiencing any of those same symptoms as far as the anxiety or the depression?
Probably the anxiety of just not knowing what was going to happen and who I could trust to tell things to and who I couldn't.
Completely understandable. Okay. Now, I know we're getting close to our time here, but I just kind of wanted to discuss what your what would be some of the goals you have with attending therapy? Is there anything? I know we've talked about wanting to have your son Luca living back in the home, right?
Probably number one would probably be to get the evaluation done, and just because I know how I am with appointments and things and following through, just making sure that I maintain a consistent treatment schedule so that I can get the most out of it and not just work on the substance but the other parts of it, because without the substance the other parts are there.
And then, do you anticipate any barriers? Or I know before you said it was hard to um, be consistent with treatment because of transportation things. But is there any other barriers that you think might come up, or anything that we can try to, put some preventative measures in place to kind of make sure that you're staying on track with your goals?
Definitely transportation is going to be a big factor, um, as well as with visitation with my son and things like that. I do that multiple times a week, like 1 to 2 times a week. So just making sure that we're planning around that stuff, because seeing him comes before any of this, really.
Absolutely. Well, I want you to know that I fully support that, and we can make sure that whatever schedule we put into place accommodates that, and that we're working around whatever you need us to.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I will get you scheduled for our next appointment, so I will be in touch. But is there anything else that you feel like you want to discuss, as far as, the goals that we've talked about, or anything that you feel like would, um, be an important factor, or something you would want me to know ahead of time?
No, those are the main concerns, is that we just have to get what needs to be done for court, at least started, and then go from there.
And when, as far as court, is there a certain time frame or a deadline you have for that evaluation? I know that was one of your main concerns.
And they said just as soon as possible, and I'm assuming just as long as this process is started, it's gonna count towards that. Like, at least like my attorney knowing that I'm here now, he can advocate that I've been here, kind of thing.
Wonderful. Well, please let me know how I can help in any way to make sure that we're moving in that direction and getting that completed as soon as possible. Um, but I'm here for you, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You too.